Evander "The Real Deal" Holyfield is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. A former undefeated and undisputed cruiserweight world champion, he remains the only man to simultaneously hold all of the recognised belts in the division. He moved up to heavyweight in 1988 and again reigned supreme, becoming undisputed champion by knocking out James "Buster" Douglas just 2 years later. Even when still half asleep, the man nicknamed the Warrior is still an intimidating presence. He puts his fearsome outlook down to being the youngest of 9 children and having to fight to survive from a young age. Iron Mike Tyson had been the most feared man in boxing since he burst onto the scene in 1985. His fearsome speed and power often intimidated opponents before they even entered the ring. For Holyfield, though, the prospect of facing Tyson held no fear. The two had sparred together numerous times as youngsters and had a mutual respect. Holyfield upset the odds, winning with a technical knockout in the 11th round. A rematch was arranged the following year. Holyfield began impressively winning the first 2 rounds. With 40 seconds remaining in the 3rd round, they were locked in a clinch. As their heads came together, Tyson turned his mouth towards Holyfield, sunk his teeth into Holyfield, and tore part of his ear off.
You can't prepare yourself for a situation like that. This man bit me on my ear. You know, I jumped up and I was ticked off to the fullest. That if anything that I could have done, I was getting ready to do. The old Holyfield. And we were taught in the Navy, if somebody do something to you, do it back, do it, make it, you got to do it worse. So you know what? My first thought is that I'm getting ready to chew his ear off. I'm gonna bite him, gonna gorge him. But what people didn't know is a prophet told me before the fight, this man is gonna do something foul to you. It's gonna be in your face area and like that. He said, remember, keep your mind on God. Now, this guy told me this, and you know what? I told my trainer, the guy named Tim Hallmark. I said, Tim, you heard what he said. I said, now remind me to keep my mind on God. You know, I actually thought that he gonna headbutt me or throw an elbow, cause this is what Tyson do. When this happened, he bit me on my ear. I jumped up and I turned around and he pushed me, and then I got so mad, I like that, and my corner guy said, keep your mind on the Lord. And I took a deep breath and I looked, then I could see, okay, he felt that this is the only way to win, where I can run in there and where he can time me and catch me with a shot. I'm gonna come back here and be calm, cool, collected, and still get him. And so I come in, they said, come on in, and he doing like this. Yeah, he was happy, telling me to come on. And I get up there, I come on like this, and I act like I'm gonna get on him, and I step back and look at him, then he started whining, and I started catching some shots. So you know what? Then he grabbed me and bit my other ear. Then I started to kick him. He was like this, and you know, I getting ready to kick him. Right in the balls. Then I got my feet back, got ready to do it. Then something said, don't do that. I was so mad, I was still mad. And I just read instantly, Lord, what is this about? You know, this is what I said, Lord, what is this about? He says, it's just about forgiving. And I'm mad, I'm like, forgiving? What you mean forgiving? You know, I'm talking to my mind, forgiving. And I realized, man, I had to forgive it. Then they put the camera in my face. Evander, how you feel about it? I said, I've been given. But I'm mad, though. Life is all about forgiving. How many people have done things to you, if you didn't forgive, I'd never be who I am.
We left Evander Holyfield preparing to rewrite history with one final shot at the world heavyweight title. Ironically, his first ever defense in 1991 as a 29-year-old champion was against 42-year-old George Foreman. a former world title holder and a man Holyfield himself had idolised as a teenager. Foreman had been written off as too old to be still fighting. The parallels are obvious, as Evander is now the aging campaigner who potential opponents show reluctance to fight.